This conference will now be recorded.
Azure SQL, Azure Databricks, and for some people Azure Data Factory completed. So the pending things for the previous batches is Azure Synapse and Azure Cosmos. So these are the two things pending for the previous people. So what is a so till now whatever we have completed Azure SQL and Azure SQL, Azure Databricks, for all these things, even for the data factory, we have given some important interview questions, and for important interview question answers in this book we have given. Okay, the book we have given interview questions with some important questions answers also we have provided. So please call to this number and take the book over here. Okay, so we need to cover these three. First I will finish these two, then I will go to the Azure Data Factory. Okay, Azure Synapse Data Warehousing and Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Data Lake. Majorly in the projects, in any of the projects, the main usage of the services is Azure Blob Storages, nothing but a storage account, or Azure Data Lake Generation 2. So these two are the same things. Same things means either they will use a blob storage or they will use a data lake. Any of one they can able to use over here just for storage purpose, because there is no difference, much difference between these two. The purpose of usage of the storage accounts, data lake generation 2 and blob storage is same. Then there are other services, Azure SQL and Azure Synapse Data Warehousing. Okay, Azure Synapse Data Warehousing. And these two are similar kind of thing, like SQL related. If you want to store your data in a table structured format, we are using SQL or DBMS systems. These are a file kind of storage system, file storage systems. Then most of the time our source is this one and our destination is any of this one. So source and destination means we are trying to move the data from one place to another place. Might be some files placed inside the Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Generation 2. Okay, files placed inside the Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Generation 2. Then that files data we are trying to move into this Azure SQL or Azure Synapse Data Warehousing. Okay, the another process is ETL. To perform these data loadings from one place to another place, then we are going to use either Azure Data Factory or we can use Azure Databricks. If it is a Databricks, you have to write down inside PySpark Python. Okay, or you can use SQL. You can use Scala, or you can use R language. So whichever the language you are more familiar, then you can use Databricks. Azure Data Factory is a ETL tool with graphical user interface. GUI means graphical user interface. Okay, graphical user interface. Azure Data Factory is a ETL tool with graphical user interface, means kind of a drag and drop. So whatever the activity source, destination, and I want to take some transformations, so you need to configure everyone over here. You need to configure over here. And Azure Databricks is writing some programming language. Whatever the things you are doing by using these many visualizations, we are going to write down some notebooks over here. We are going to write down some notebooks over here. Okay, so this is how we are going to write down some programming here. So this is the overall what we are going to learn inside the Azure Data Engineer. Our expertise should be on this ETL part. Let me see in pictorial representation how that architecture looks, even when you are going to explain about your project as well. So this is how you need to explain. I have a data placed in some site, FTP site. Okay, FTP site means file transfer protocol site. My files are located. Daily business keeps some files in FTP site. Okay, daily business will keep some files in the FTP site, and also I have a on-premises server. In the on-premises, I have a Oracle database. How the data is coming to the Oracle database? The data is coming from the applications. Like for example, this is a movie ticket booking apps. Many customers will install the apps on their mobiles, and whenever they are booking a ticket, that information will come and store in the backend somewhere, a database. This is a SQL Server, Oracle database, or whatever it is, any database. From the mobile app, when they are booking a tickets, movie tickets, that data will come here. And whenever they are adding in new movies, new theaters, that will come over here. New theaters, because business knows what are the new theaters and new movies introduced. That information the business people will update. And this is a movie app. Okay, the customers installing the movies app over here. So in your resume, whatever the project you are putting based on the domain, some people will put healthcare domain, some people will put other domain kind of thing. Correct? In that kind of situations, according to your, you can able to put. Okay, movie app. And this is Oracle. Perfect. Now what we are trying to do, we are trying to pull this data into, we want to design some reporting. Okay, what kind of reporting it is? Might be total how many movies, and how many tickets booked, how much revenue we are getting, and which movie, how long in theaters, in which theaters. want to understand about the movie performances. So as a part of that implementation, we want to maintain all this data warehousing in one place. Okay. So to maintain, first what you need to do, first you need to pull this data from this FTP site. Okay, from this FTP site, and from this FTP site to this cloud environment. So what we are going to do, we are going to take the data from here and here, and that will come to either it is a blob storage or we can use a Azure Data Lake Generation tool. So any of one can be used. For big data, we will use blob. Very less volume of the data what we are not using regularly, you can go with the storage account, blob storage, general storage account with the blob. Storage account with blob, and this is data lake generation 2. This is data lake generation 2. So the data will be taken from here and here and keeping like a files inside the storage accounts in the cloud, Azure cloud. Okay, that is the first step we will do. This is going to happen every day. Once the data is coming to the files, then you need to load that data into SQL Server database or Synapse data warehousing. Either you can use SQL Server or Synapse data warehousing. Azure SQL database. Azure SQL database, or we can use a Azure Synapse data warehousing. Azure Synapse data warehousing. So how the data will be loaded from this storage accounts, whatever the files we have placed. Here we are putting like a files, different formats like a CSV or Parquet files, Avero files. Then we are going to use Azure Data Factory. Of course, from here onwards also we are using Azure Data Factory only. From here also. Okay. Azure Data Factory. Here Azure Data Factory. And once the data is coming to the staging area, storage accounts or data lake, then here we are using either Data Factory or Databricks. Either we can use a Azure Data Factory or Databricks. Right? So once the data is coming to the Azure SQL database or Synapse data warehousing, then sometimes, not always, for reporting purpose, we will design a analysis services tablet model cube. Analysis services tabular queue. Analysis services, tabular cube database. Okay, analysis services, tabular cube database. Then we are going to connect over here. From this, data will be processed to analysis services tabular queue. Then once the data is coming over here, then we are using to Power BI. Power BI is a reporting tool that Power BI either connect into directly to your Azure Synapse or SQL database, or it can connect to the analysis services as well. Okay, Power BI for designing of the reports and dashboards. So this is how the whole business and the services what we are using. So based on the requirement, sometimes here we can use Cosmos DB. Okay, in place of analysis services, we can use Cosmos DB, or in place of this Azure SQL database Synapse, we will use Cosmos DB. But the regular projects, whatever we are implementing, the architecture of the projects is this is the one only. You can take a pick, and as per this pick, you can frame your project explanation. When you are going to the interviews, when you are going to explain about your project, just try to make according to this one. Okay, try to make according to this one. Okay, any questions on this architecture? No questions? Take a snap of this one. Yeah, the Azure SQL database and Azure Synapse data warehousing, the functionality is almost same. Of course, there is some difference between this Azure SQL database and Synapse. I will explain that about when I'm discussing about this one. Okay, we have to discuss about Azure analysis services as well. So the Azure SQL is and Synapse data warehousing, both we are using for the storing of the data in the table structures. Both are RDBMS only. RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. Okay, that is RDBMS, Relational Database Management System.
Architecture will be the same for any other industries?
Mostly might be sometimes sources might got changed, but this is 70% of the projects having this is the architecture in many of these Azure cloud services using to implement projects, business intelligence projects for the data warehousing purpose. They will follow this architecture. There might be some changes. Source might be changes, but mostly this platform is same, and this is same, and this is same, and this Power BI. So whatever the projects I have seen, I have worked, this is the architecture there. Then when you were
Like
explaining about
collecting of data from different sources will differ as compared to the projects.
exactly. So here the source might got changed. Here the business got changed. Here that might be it might be instead of FTP, it might be your local server, or they might directly uploading files into the storage account instead of FTP. Okay. So mostly the interview questions will be fired on the data factory and Synapse data warehousing. And then if you are telling them I have work experience on Databricks, they will ask the questions about the Databricks. Okay. So these three are the primary things they will ask the interview questions. And many people are learning in the both courses. Like this is all covering of the Azure data engineering. Whatever we have from here onwards, this is covered everything Azure data engineering. All the services. This is Power BI. This is Power BI, right? So some people are learning both courses, Azure data engineering plus these two they are learning over here. Because in every project, most of the scenarios customers have these two. So if you are having knowledge on the both, then they will easily recruit you instead of looking for a separate job roles, separate persons for the Azure data engineering and separate person for the Power BI. They are making both on the same. Okay, so I will recommend to learn both the courses. Power BI is very easy. It's just a kind of Excel reporting, something similar like your Excel reporting what we are using over here. So you can able to connect to the many data sources available in your Azure cloud services by using Power BI. So Power BI, to develop the reports you need to install a Power BI data publication like your Excel. how you are installing Excel. This Power BI Desktop also is one of the application, Windows application you can install. And once you are having this Power BI, then you can go to the Power BI Desktop. Okay, so just close this window. So Power BI, what are all the services it is supporting to connect to the Azure services and to get the data to design the reports. So you need to go to the get data to connect to the different source systems. Click on more. See here, only Azure related services. These are all the services it will connect. Azure SQL database, Azure Synapse, Azure Analysis Services, Azure PostgreSQL, Blob Storage, Table Storage, Cosmos DB, Data Explorer, Gusto, Azure Data Lake Generation to Azure Data Lake Generation 1, HD Insight, Azure Databricks also it will connect. Okay. So these many data sources it is able to connect. For example, if you want to connect Azure Synapse Data Warehouse or Azure SQL database, when you are clicking on connect, it will ask you to give the server name, database name, then username, password. Then you can able to establish a connection. Server name, database name. What are the two different connectivity modes? Import mode and direct coding. Clear? Server name, database name, and once you are selecting this connectivity mode, then username, password you need to enter. So this is how you can able to connect to the servers and designing of the visualizations here. Once you are designing the visualizations, those reports, whatever we design, we are publishing into the website. Which website? app.powerbi.com. app.powerbi. Okay, you need to log into that website. So customers will log in daily into this app.powerbi.com website. Then they can able to see the reports. Clear? So from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start these services like Azure Synapse Data Warehousing and Azure Analysis Services. This I will take 2 days. And this I will take 3 days. This I will take 1 or 2 days. And this data factory I will take 8 days. Okay, so this is the expectation. So I want to merge few more people from tomorrow onwards to discuss about these topics. At the same time 8:30, sorry 7:30. Okay, so we'll try to finish within 2 weeks, hardly, yeah, by this September, October, by this October 10th. Okay, October 10th is the target. So if anybody wants to start your placement process, you can start from now onwards. So you can reach out the Amirpet office. We can start, because there might be a chances to start from the offices from December 2021. So till this December only we have the work from home. So that is the reason better you can able to start this placement as early as possible before opening these offices. Okay. So do you guys have anybody having account because the old account was expired? So if anybody having the account, please let me know. I will I need that account for tomorrow. Okay, at least any of one can create one account tomorrow. Okay, let's meet tomorrow and start this services, remaining services.